And welcome back to another video.
And it's done. Just kidding. But it's going to be a quick one, I think, because we've got two goblin decks facing off against each other.
So if you like goblins, this is your jam.
This is
suspect.
Yeah, this is match 3 of the Paladin format monthly. So one more time, Mind Twist and Library banned.
And all the other fun cards restricted.
Yeah, so Factory, Workshop, Strip Mine, Maze of Ith, Torrent.
Yeah.
Basically, if ever you got these cards cast against you and you said, I'm really sad that I have to deal with that, it's been restricted or banned. Essentially, that's what this format is.
But moving forward,
yes,
we got...
our first Goblin deck is blue and red.
Kind of the light... Not counterburn, I want to say, but like, you know, your Side Blast, Chain Lightnings, Lightning Bolts, your Bloodlust, Goblin Grenades.
It's basically just like you're playing the mono red goblins. And I think, honestly, I think it's a mistake to just put blue cards in because of the power cards. This deck doesn't care about drawing cards. The deck cares about dealing damage. So, like, you draw, like, you know what I mean? I don't want to get into it again. It's really...
I probably would opt to, instead of putting the Side Blast, I'd probably put the Copper Tablets main. Just to really put the damage in quick, you know?
Yeah, but, like, I understand what drives people towards the blue for the extra Side Blast and then the power cards and everything, but you're actually just more consistent not dealing with that stuff. But anyways, it's too complicated of a conversation to get into in a 2-minute deck tech, so like let's have a conversation elsewhere kind of thing about that. In the meantime, let's just appreciate the goblin deck. So like once we're in the realm of adding the blue to the deck, whether you agree or not, those are really strong cards. So like it's not totally crazy, and like you're saying copper tablets instead of Side Blast makes sense. The damage comes down quicker and sooner and for cheaper cost, and it's not blue, so like there are factors. But the 4 damage is really nice when you're in a world of bloodlusting, right? You're already kind of in this zone of I want to put 3 or more damage into your face every time I cast the spell. So that's what bloodlust does, right? Gives +4 minus.
+4 -4, but the toughness doesn't go below 1.
And then Goblin Grenades, it's 3 Goblin Grenades.
Yeah, then Goblin Artisan, basically 1/1 creature, tap it, flip a coin. If you win, draw a card. If you lose,
you have to counter the... So you can only activate it if you cast an artifact spell. And then you counter that spell if you lose the flip. Yeah. And just to say is like what we're seeing here in Max's deck, one that I didn't work with him on this white version. I worked with him on the mono red version. But the concept remains the same. If you look at this list and you compare it to the last one from Dom's playing 12 1-cost goblins. It's not good, in my opinion. You need to have the curve, and the Ironclaw Orcs are infinitely better than the Goblin Artisans. Yeah. And in my opinion, they're better than the Flarg. It's just that you need to have at least 6, 7, or 8 1-drops, so it's fine. It's fine. Now, of course, Max is playing 12 himself, but one of them's a 2/1, so it feels a similar role to the Ironclaw Orcs with the 2 damage.
I do like the curve because you have the Savannah Lions, you have the Goblins. Then you could go into, turn 2 Ironclaw, turn 3 Ball Lightning. Yeah. So it has like a nice curve to it, I think.
Yeah, I think because like the thing is when you play Goblin Grenade, you tell yourself I have to play 1,000,000 goblins. I think that's just wrong because, in fact, it's usually correct to use the Goblin Grenade the second you draw it, which means the first goblin you played is probably the first goblin that's going to get chucked to the grenade. So like you don't need to fill your deck full of all these like bad 1-drops. Like Savannah Lion is 1-drop, up like 8 to 11, just like Dom has, but it's a 2 attack. It's not a 1 attack, and that's extremely relevant.
Yeah, I agree on that.
And then like the Goblin Artisan is interesting, but I think he was only playing 3 artifacts. So it's like you're actually just drawing a 1/1 that doesn't do anything. He was playing 2 Goblin Kings. But again, like
so I mean,
you don't. But that's the thing. Even then, you don't need because it's still on curve, and it's 2 damage on curve. And if you're just getting the damage in, you're better off with the curve than trying to force the synergy with a bunch of bad 1-drops. You know what I mean? So I do like the way that Max's deck is built, just because of the curve factor.
And interesting enough, he's also playing Copper Tablets on the side. So I'm wondering if these are going to be heavily sideboarded pieces. Then
yeah, that's true. Well, you probably aren't bringing in the Copper Tablets in this mirror match.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I think we may even see on display, like Max is not playing with these power cards, right? Like he has opted for white for Disenchant and Savannah, well, Savannah Lion mostly, but still the point being is that when adding a color, he didn't add the power cards. Those cards, when you read them, are extremely strong, but in the context of a burn, all-in burn deck, none of those cards say deal damage.
Yeah.
And yeah, they draw cards that deal, but they may not. So what happened is like you can draw a card that draws you cards, or you can draw a card that just does the damage. And I think that's better off in these specific types of decks. So we're going to see if that's what happens in this matchup.
We'll see.
And we'll see if I get my dirty whore mouth shut one more time by the actions on the screen, or if...
Oof. He's playing a Lotus, Plateau.
A Lotus for 2 Savannahs and 1 Goblin Brigade. Now it's funny because like any creature that Tom plays will block the Savannah Lions.
Yeah.
But it's okay because like
but that's fine because now he has to. So there you go. So yes, they'll make an exchange, but then Max will probably lose a Savannah Lion.
But Max should just burn that card, yeah.
There you go. Now swinging in for 5.
Yeah, like Max doesn't need to use the burn to the face. Max, especially if you can identify that he's in a mirror match, so to speak, his burn spells are much better used as board control. So he has to identify that. I think that might have been a mount in his hand, though.
We'll see there. Right now... playing the 1-drop. Okay, so now Dom just aggressively trying to reduce the board state.
Yeah.
Also realizing mirror match and, having the same mindset. Okay, interesting enough.
It's 3 more damage, down to 12. So what's interesting is that everything I believe with regards to not adding the power cards might actually be void in a mirror match. If we're in a situation where we're just exchanging our resources, playing the exact same deck, and then one person says, I'm going to draw 3 now, that could be an interesting deciding factor.
Yeah.
But I still wouldn't use that as justification to play that card in this deck. Or those types of cards in this deck.
I haven't looked.
It's the sad kitty.
What is it with you people and cats?
Hey, you better watch out.
I love the kitty.
You better watch out. That's a comment you're making on the internet.
Hello, kitty.
That's a comment on the internet. You think he'll block the Savannah Line?
I'd block the Savannah Line just because it's 2 damage. Yeah. Unless he's planning to play like more goblins.
Oh, yeah, if he's got like now like this. Look. Here's the thing, right? Like those goblins that I just finished shitting on are going to be really strong if he's got 3 in his hand now. But again, with 2 Goblin Kings, you have to hope that you drew the Goblin King and 3 goblins. Like, it's rough. Ooh. Attack for 6. Attack for 11. But you took the... I mean, it's exciting. It's an exciting game. See, like, I want Dom to draw Ancestral Recall.
So what happened? He's not...
Like, I really wanted
He
Dom...
swung, but what happened? He's not...
He lost the life. He was at 8.
No, but I'm saying if he swung for 11...
No, Max was at 19.
Oh, okay, no, because I'm looking at the dice, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, I really wanted Dom to draw an Ancestral last turn, so we could see like what it looks like when your opponent's just killing you and you're drawing cards. You know?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's pretty much as exciting as it can get with this kind of match. So good stuff. Also, Bloodlust I think is a trap. I think Bloodlust is a trap. I don't know why. It's like because the thing is that Bloodlust says deal 4 damage, but it also says there's a part of Bloodlust that isn't written on the card that says can only be cast if you have a creature, which means that by itself it doesn't do anything, right? Yeah. So if you believe what I'm saying, where Time Twister, Time Walk, Ancestral are 3 cards that are good, amazing, powerful, but don't say deal damage, you already have 3. I'm going to use the word dead. I don't mean they're dead, but you have 3 dead cards. They don't deal damage. Then you put 4 cards called Bloodlust that say useless unless you have creatures in play. And then you have 3 more cards called Goblin Grenade that say useless unless you have creatures in play. So your deck has 4, 7, 10 cards plus the lands, which is about 18 or 19. Almost half your deck doesn't actually deal damage. And you're playing against an opponent whose entire deck says deal damage.
Yeah, so that's...
So like that's where
mathematically, mathematically, yeah.
That's it, and that's where my argument of don't get drunk on power. Don't put them in that deck. Like, you don't need it. Like, you just make sure every card you draw says, I single-handedly deal damage. I single-handedly deal damage. Yeah. And I think that's how you win more with these kinds of decks. So it's hard though. It's really hard to have power at your disposal and actively not play it.
Not use it.
It's very hard. But
I think, a lot of people get into that mindset of, oh man, I have to play power or else I'm going to fall behind, and I have to. And I think power does have a time and place, but I mean, for decks like this, I don't agree with splashing the blue.
Yeah, that was a rough keep from Dom. He's got no creatures. He's got a removal spell, which he'll have to use, I think. Because again, remember, Ironclaw Orc on paper is a bad card, but it's a 2-mana 2/2, and if that card deals 4 damage, it is the best burn spell in the format. 2 mana, 4 damage is incredible. Like we were talking in the previous match. The only card that really does that is Flame Rift. 2 mana, deal 4 damage, but it also deals 4 damage to you. So the concept of dealing 4 damage for 2 is not an easy concept to sell, which means, like from an R&D perspective. So if that Ironclaw Orc gets 2 swings in, or eats a burn spell, its value is phenomenal. So really, I really hope to see more people playing Ironclaw Orcs in their Goblin and or Burn decks.
Yeah, I think it'll probably see a bit more play.
There's a really amazing match between, I don't remember what his name is, something Rubin, I think, versus John Finkel, where they're both playing a Burn Mirror at a Pro Tour, 1997 maybe, and both of their decks have Ironclaw Orcs in it, and like it makes a difference. Like that's where my whole idea came from.
Oh, yeah, that's where you got the...
I watched that match and I was like, okay, this card is actually out of this world.
What kills me watching those old matches is when they like shuffle.
Oh yeah,
and they, like when you do that bridge,
the rifle shuffle,
and there's like no sleeves. And you're like, ah.
Yeah. Oh, you want to see that? Watch Goblin Grenade is good.
Yep.
Watch Bob Maher versus Brian Davis. I think his name is. No sleeves, and man, Maher with the snapping and the shuffling, Force of Will, Tropical Island, all kinds of stuff in there.
No, I'm just gonna start weeping.
Yeah. Well, also if you're a Necro fan, the Brian Davis, it's brutal. He makes a gigantic misplay which costs him the whole Pro Tour.
Oof.
It's a massive misplay. Okay, anyways.
So going back to the match.
Yeah, so Dom is making explosive plays, but he's not really taking an advantage. Like I wouldn't feel too stressed if I was Max, despite the fact that I'm on the back burner here.
Looks like he drew Lotus. Yeah, Lotus.
Okay, well he does have a bad hand though, so that's not good.
I think he has a Wheel of Fortune.
He has a Wheel of Fortune, yeah, but he is behind. Like if he wills, like he might have to because he's just losing to the fact that.
Because at least he's like, okay, I'll wheel. Dom will take at least 3 damage from the Black Vice next turn.
That's true, and I can refill my hand.
Like restock.
And we just finished talking about another Black Vice, and we just finished talking about it too, right? If Dom's deck is full of 10 to 12 cards that don't actually deal damage instantly, then giving him 7 is worse than giving you 7. So
right there it puts Dom to 10 next turn.
Yeah, same amount of life. Max should flood the board. Like not play Goblin King. Play all of the small goblins. Next turn, play Goblin King and give them flying. Yeah, I really want to see Max play multiple creatures this turn.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, I played the other one too. Yeah, I think that's just strictly correct.
Yeah, flood the board.
No, Max might not know this, but there is no Earthquake out of the sideboard of Dom, so there is no punishment for playing this. There's no Fireball and there's no Earthquake.
Well, his assumption is like, well, if the other opponent's playing Goblins, the odds of the opponent sideboarding in Earthquake is very unlikely.
I mean, Max is also not playing Earthquake, so it makes sense. But just to say, like, this was definitely a correct call from Max. Flood the board, and he got the Goblin King in his hand next turn. It's really, really strong. He can give 2 of his goblins flying.
So right there, Dom just...
So like Dom's Time Walk is garbage. It costs 2 mana and doesn't do anything. And like the thing about these burn decks is that unless you're desperate for a refuel, drawing more cards doesn't mean you can play more cards. You're still going to do the same 1 or 2 things in your turn. So if you waste the mana trying to just draw 3, you just have 1 less mana and more of the same spells in your hand. So.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. See, at that point, you're like, okay, I have 4 creatures. I gotta play some cards. I got 2 Black Vices.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't think that's the right play because, like, okay, I could see with the appeal of, like, he's got 2 turns now.
But 2 turns, we're on this. So he's got this turn where he cast the cards, and now he's got 2 turns. Okay, so this first turn, he did nothing. So now he's going to take a Time Walk turn, which means he might as well just still be on the last turn. So his 2 turns is really just 1 turn. And if he doesn't do enough here, then that extra turn is also... You can see how worried Max is eating food.
Yeah. He's like... Okay.
Chain Lightning. Like...
Yeah, he realized he doesn't have anything.
But what I'm saying is like... He didn't win because of Time Walked. This was all going to happen the next turn anyways, right? Like,
yeah.
The Time Walk didn't win him the game there. And he wasn't going to die on his following turn. But whatever, I mean, look, he cast Time Walk and he won the game after, so good. But I don't think Time Walk did anything there. If Time Walk was just the burn spell, everything he did could have just happened that turn.
Yeah. So now it's just 1 and 1.
Yeah, and Max gets to go first, so interesting. But yeah, did he draw the Chain Lightning or did he draw the Goblin Grenade? You happen to see?
I didn't happen to.
But either way, it was the next card, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
just like that card, when he drew Time Walk, it could have just been the next card.
Well, both players now. No, I don't think they're really gonna sideboard much in.
No, I don't think there's much to sideboard. There's probably no sideboard available, really. Like Max doesn't have a sideboard. Maybe if you go first, you can justify the Copper Tablet. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
But I don't necessarily see anything that I would cut.
Yeah, because then...
Like, nothing in here
if
is really
Max is going to want to keep his Black Vices because he's going first.
I mean, that's an argument to maybe get rid of the Black Vice. Like, you're both going to dump your hand.
Yeah, and so maybe cut 2 Black Vice for 2 Coppers.
It's interesting, yeah. Wow.
Oh, there you go.
If he had a Black Lotus.
Yeah. Scoop.
Yeah, but he only has 1 land max, so he's really banking on the fact that it's gonna get him like 5 to 7 damage. 3 damage the first turn, 2 damage the next turn, 1 damage the turn prior. So it's that 1 Black Vice. Well, if he plays with the first Black Vice, he gets 3 damage. Then Dom draws a card and plays land something. He's got 6 cards. Then Max plays the second Black Vice, and it will do 4. So that's 7 damage from the Black Vices.
Okay, so
because Dom, we just saw his hand, he can only do 1 thing, so he will go to 6 cards. If Dom draws a land, he's in a really good spot. You know,
you mean Dom?
If Max draws a land, he's in a very good spot. He drew a land. It's a painful land, but it's still good that he can at least put a second Vice and get a creature in play.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good, smart man.
Yes.
Not playing the flying one in case they get Chain Lightning. He has his flyer for after. Good for him.
So Max at 19, taking 1 from City.
So now Dom plays a card. So Dom's at 7, plays a card, he's at 6. If he plays 1 more card, he's at 5. If he plays 2, he's out of Black Vice range. He really wants to play 2 cards here.
Can he though?
I think so. I think he has 2 more 1/1s. Chain Lightning, and then a 1/1. Oh, no, Lightning Bolt. No, you need to get the 1/1s. You need to get your creatures. The burn is going to happen whenever you want it to happen. Your creatures can't attack until the following turn. Play your creatures. Unless I saw his hand, and he doesn't have another creature. But if he does, the Lightning
I would have kept the Bolt even for like removal.
Removal, yeah,
so
absolutely.
Especially if you're in a mirror match, you need to clear their creatures. Just make sure yours get through. Because the chances that the other opponent is probably going to use their burn spells for removal. So you're just clear the board, swing. Well, let's see what happens. Okay. Second goblin balloon.
Yeah. Not looking.
And just on a side note, you just gotta say, I love Andy Russo's art. His art is so iconic.
Oh, nice.
It's such, detail, and he hasn't done too many cards, but the ones he's done has been like really fantastic. As like a admirer of just like art. And
is that a guy or a girl?
Guy.
Are you sure? The way
I would hope so.
The way it's spelled is.
Yeah.
It's a guy.
Yes, of course.
I mean, the way it's spelled is questionable.
Your insights.
It's looking like
it's questionable.
It's gonna cut you off real quick. Cut you off real fast. It's looking like maybe Max is. It's interesting because of all this talk about the dead cards in Dom's deck. It's like Black Vice gets dead very fast, right?
Yeah.
Time Walk again. Dom's trying to shut me up. I still don't believe in it.
2 times in a row, fork and Time Walk.
Honestly, I would even go so far as to say that Time Walk is even like without the fork. It's like it's not even. It's the fork that's making the Time Walk better. Here. Like, I'm more of a believer in Time Walk because of fork than if he wasn't playing fork.
Okay.
Oof. Wait, Dom took 2 turns already?
Yeah. Swung. Okay.
Those flying dudes are quite annoying.
Yeah, you gotta respect them.
Flying dudes, not to be mistaken with flying men.
Jesus. Let's see.
If Max can... I thought he had a Goblin King in his hand. If you can just play the Goblin King and then get a second Goblin Grenade. Like, I don't know what that card is with the white border. He's not playing it, so it's obviously not a king. And also the deck picture isn't like a real deck, so I can't even like figure it out based on the borders. Yeah, there's so we saw Dom win via using the Time Walk card.
Unfortunately, smashing your theory.
It's not. I don't think it smashes my theory.
No, I know.
I would like to see that happen again without fork. Like, fork adds justification for Time Walk.
Yeah. I mean, we saw like 2 games in a row where he forked his Time Walk, and
yeah, but also
it's kind of hard to.
But look at what Max was doing. He wasn't doing anything while that was happening. So, like, it's not as simple as Dom cast Time Walk and won because of Time Walk. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
If it gets reduced to that, then I think we're missing a lot of variables. So.
But.
And also, just to say, it's like those cards, like I said, like those cards are still amazing cards. They still have value in your deck. And it's just. I don't think there's a reason. No, I don't. No, I mean, look, I've been having this conversation with Max for a long time, and with Max, with Carl. I mean, Carl agrees less, but I think Game 1 was a proper example of more realistically what happens when your deck is just full of burn. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't realize from Dom's deck picture that he was playing fork. It's actually kind of blurred out.
Yeah.
And definitely a card like fork
can probably justify
it justifies the Time Walk and the Ancestral and the Side Blast 100%. So I'm a lot less critical of those blue cards when they're side by side with fork.
Yeah.
So yeah, ultimately good game to Max.
Yeah.
To Dom. Dom and Max, but to Dom for sure for pulling it out. Okay.
All right. Until the next one.